Back live with you tonight, John in Focus. It's been our leading story this evening, and the story is the resignation of the mayor, executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Thapelo Amad. Political analyst Sysman Motloung joins us now for his analysis. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening. He didn't resign because of the motion of no confidence tomorrow. This is what they want us to believe. But either way you look at it, the motion of no confidence did bring a lot of tension within the government of local unity and certainly led to how we got here.
Hey, Tavo, thanks for having me. And I think definitely, and you listen to what they have been saying, that it's also not because of the negative public opinion about his leadership. I think to some extent the coalition government can also fall again on that justification that they had presented at the beginning, that this is a transitionary mayorship, so maybe now this is the time when they have had a proper framework and understanding of what kind of a leader they would want to go with. It's really that political explanation that they have of a very vague and secretive disclosure. So they are transparent, but they are very much hiding the truth from the public in this regard. But what we can understand from this is that there's a group of people who are still committed to ensure that they retain power at that council and that the Democratic Alliance does not see office again.
Does it empower the Patriotic Alliance more now in that particular coalition, knowing that they can throw their toys out the court like they did and something will happen?
I think the Patriotic Alliance does not necessarily play up as that child who has tantrums, They understand what they want and they appreciate the influence that they have. But I think they are not being irresponsible about it. They are really open and mature about how they pressurize their partners to agree with the policy positions that they want, or at least the preferences that they present, understanding that the other party still needs them in the corner. So here it's more of a win-win situation for the Patriotic Alliance. From where I am, I don't see them really as an irresponsible party, but they understand only that power they have and they're trying to use it to the benefit of their constituency.
We are still to hear what the EFF thinks of this, because it's the one party of this government of local unity that was not at that press briefing. I don't know if we must read anything into that, especially considering that when the mayoral team was announced in Ekurhuleni, the EFF went at it on its own and its members signed up and the ANC didn't. And we saw later after some negotiations that they came and also took those positions. The absence of the EFF at this particular press briefing, should we make something out of it?
I think for somebody who wants to read too much into that, yes, it is something. The absence of another partner when they're making this kind of an important announcement is telling. It's like, really, why were they not there? Because it's not as if there's some event that is maybe made known to the public, we can say, or maybe most of them have gone somewhere else. So it could be something to look into that. But then, like you are saying, when you have to look at the broader coalition agreements and relationship, they cited Mogale. I think Panyaza was saying we've now brought back Mogale, and that was also with the support and assistance of the EFF. In Ekurhuleni, it was not necessarily again an issue where the EFF had a outfall with the ANC in that regard. It seems as if the EFF is still on the side of the ANC, and it is now really curious indeed concerning here, because Panyaza said we are going to announce yet who should take the mayoral position. I think that's where the EFF also will be strong to understand as to which party could come in. Is it somebody who comes from the ANC itself, We've had Patriotic Alliance saying Mackenzie is not there. Who else really? That's what we are really wondering as to who will come to close that space.
And if you tie that particular conundrum with what we're hearing coming from the head of the political school in the ANC, David Makura, that from the conversations this past weekend, it does seem the ANC believes the framework should not be such that a party with one seat or one member is the one that takes the political leadership of the particular municipality.
Yes, I think Panyaza to some extent, but though maybe talking to the Democratic Alliance said minorities should not dictate. That is a very telling statement as well. And I think it's fair that when they're coming to this understanding of talking about a framework that works, you hear that a small party should not really dictate. There has to be that understanding that even though you bring your 1% is so much important, but you cannot bring your 1% based on an unreasonable expectation. Is being a mayor unreasonable? One could say it's not necessarily unreasonable if the caliber of a person who's been put from a minor party is up to the task. And that argument of a majoritarian leader in a coalition is what the DA has been talking about, what others have been fighting on, that the DA seems to be the one who wants to say this is a DA-led coalition. This is something that has to be reconfigured in how they formulate their agreements in terms of a coalition. But I think that message needs to sink in. But it's need to be presented based on a balance of proportions, that you come with a minor position, but it does not mean you only come to donate it, but what is valuable that you can get in return. That's where we've seen those disagreements in terms of allocating positions as to which position could be most satisfactory for a minor party.
Not necessarily a team throwing their tantrums and getting what they want. You're saying they're a little bit more responsible with the power that they have. But if you look at the optics of it, Al-Jamaa feeling quite dejected at this particular point in time. And would you say the ANC is a little bit frustrated in how they're going to handle this relationship going forward?
I think ANC is in control. Look at the body language when there was this presentation. You can see ANC at the center of the table, and ANC at some point coming to defend Al-Jamaa, to respond on their behalf, to say this is a collective government, so you cannot point out the mayor alone and say what did they do, what did they achieve. Look at us as a collective. You can see there that the ANC is really providing that leadership, is a senior, and these other ones are really recognizing that. Al-Jamaa could be dejected that their person is really resigning now. You could see the excitement at the beginning. Even the Al-Jamaa leader was out there talking on what a good relationship Al-Jamaa has with the ANC. And with Thapelo coming in, this was somehow, I think, a vote of confidence that the ANC showed to them, or a gesture in terms of support. So I think they have to be dejected. Really, the mayor in his leadership so far, he did not really inspire confidence. And I think to keep him long, you're really having somebody who's absent. His presence was not really felt in the public. So you need somebody who can really inspire, especially leading to the national elections. You need some presence, a leader who's really visible, and he did not really cut it.
Sysman, is a very interesting thing that is happening here. Is Panyaza Lesufi unable, in a sense, or maybe even bringing himself into a little bit of trouble here, to divorce his position as the premier in the province and the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng? Because, I mean, some of the things, for example, that he's talking about is how the Democratic Alliance is not getting involved in any of the provincial meetings, which he calls provincial meetings of government. They're straddling both his responsibility as premier, but he says, I'm sitting here as the chairperson of the ANC in the province.
Yeah, this is that difficult line, whether you're going to assume position as a chairperson of a political party, or you come in as an executive of a province. Now, really, what contribution do you provide? And in this relationship of coalition formation and management, you really still need somebody who is experienced as he, but somebody who can also assert authority in terms of providing leadership. So this is that tough position in a way, because on one side it's balancing your fractional arrangements or alignments in a political party and dealing with other political parties. The inter-party relations is something that a premier could be really managing well. And if it seems that the DA is not really coming to party, that is a difficulty and that is testing him. So he has to come up as somebody who's still diplomatic and providing leadership instead of seeing this as a political challenge to his authority. So that's something I think he is really managing. If it's difficult for him, but I think he can cope with that. He can manage it. It's not so much something that can frustrate him. If it does frustrate him, but it shouldn't be for long. I think it will be on the side. We should be, maybe what he's saying is that I'm willing to work, but there are these other parties that are not willing to work as to what their agenda is to the inter-party relationship or intergovernmental relationships. Then he's more or less saying the DA is the one who's not really willing to come to the party, while other political parties are cooperating. To the public, he shows the Democratic Alliance as the one that is not cooperating, and maybe in that sense we can say being immature.
You're saying what we should be watching carefully now in terms of the next move in this particular development is who is going to be appointed as the mayor, which candidate or where the candidate is going to be coming from the mayoral position. Why is that important?
Yeah, I think because we want to, like I said earlier, you want somebody who's got a presence in the public, somebody who can inspire, or somebody who's seen to be resolute and decisive, or, somebody who's got presence. I don't know how to put it differently, but somebody who can be seen and heard. And I think Thapelo did not. It's like he couldn't believe that he's there. It's like he's still adjusting. But now you need somebody who can adapt, who's flexible. And I think what we have seen was the NC is really experienced in that. And to some extent, the mayors that they brought were people I did not really expect. So I think it will be better now that the minor parties have had their chance maybe. And I think this is what Panyaza is not, or ANC is not quick to enforce, to say who should be. For me, personally, if I were to make an opinion on that part, is to say it is high time, I think, the EFF comes to say, give us the responsibility. We've seen them over the years. They've been saying, we are building a movement, we are building a party. And now, recently, they've come to say, we are ready for leadership. I think the ANC or the EFF should show that seniority now to say, we have given you a chance, and no matter how things unfolded, but I think they should, either of them, should now take that mantle and be responsible about turning around the city. Because if you still say, no, we want to prove that we're not in this for power, let others lead, and then things are still collapsing, there's no significant change, the mood in the city is still dampened, what is the importance of you being a senior party there but taking a back seat? For me, the two of them, either one of them should really take that leadership.
Sysman, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Sysman Motloung, giving us some political analysis there following the developments in the Johannesburg Council.